Republicans are saying the FBI is broken. After hearing from FBI whistleblowers in a hearing yesterday, they described episodes of abuse and retaliation and claimed politics have weaponized America's top law enforcement agency. Fox News contributor and Wall Street Journal columnist Kim Strassel, great to have you here. Your column is on this very topic today and on the Durham report. Let's listen to the whistleblowers. They were on Jesse Watters' Primetime last night.
We know that parents attending school board meetings have been targeted. We know that pro-lifers praying at clinics have been targeted. We know that Catholics simply going to church, going to mass have been targeted.
We sort of laid the groundwork for people to feel that they can be protected as whistleblowers. Those were the protections that we didn't receive, but now that the Republicans in the House are on alert for that.
We're just trying to do the right thing for this nation, and if that means even becoming homeless at the hands of the FBI, then we're willing to do that.
Kim, from Monday afternoon when the Durham report came out to yesterday or even today, how do you assess the week for the FBI and for these whistleblowers going forward?
Yeah, it's been a really tough week for the FBI, obviously. And in terms of these particular individuals, the facts of their cases obviously are going to have to be looked at more closely because, you know, they're making claims, the FBI is making counterclaims. But what really jumped out at me, Dana and Bill, is some of the information that came out in the hearing talking about FBI policy. You know, for one thing, I was very struck by the suggestion that the FBI is using certain performance metrics in which agents are rewarded if they use more wiretaps on individuals. That seems to me a kind of problematic incentive system. You know, this issue of a claim that there's now a policy that they are trying to elevate what would normally be called other crimes into domestic terrorism crimes to put them in a different bucket. That might sound very political to some people, the idea that they are targeting Catholics. So I think, again, these questions of whistleblowing and retaliation are very serious and they need to be investigated. But so too does a lot of the information these guys brought about supposed changes in the way the FBI is operating.
On that point, Kim, you got to wonder where that goes. You know, I mean, the only thing that really brings change is whether or not there's enough public pressure. And if the public doesn't know about it because the media doesn't cover it, it's a whole different matter. This is what we found last night at 3 major networks, right? Their primetime coverage, 6:30 in the evening, East Coast time, 0 minutes on ABC, CBS, and NBC. And then we found this headline on CNN last night, quote, Jim Jordan's FBI whistleblowers testified publicly before Congress's questions about their legitimacy remain. I'm up against that. 50% of the country is going to take that side.
You know, if you think about how far we have come in the media, I mean, what does the media exist for? It's supposed to be there to question government power. You know, and among the agencies that have the most power in government are those of law enforcement. And yet we have a media that is now lockstep defending the FBI, as it has essentially been doing ever since Trump took office. And we first got this Russia collusion hoax that came out. And apparently it's not done doing it. Look, these guys brought some very legitimate concerns. I thought it was really unfortunate that Democrats immediately tried to attack their legitimacy instead of listening to them and hearing them out. And one other thing that came out of this, too, though, is that we need to look at the guys at the top of the FBI, all right? There's a tendency to say the entire FBI is rotten. What we do have, in fact, are a lot of agents, hardworking men and women that are trying to do the right thing. And what we're hearing again and again, and it's what we got out of the Durham report, is that it is Washington, D.C., executive headquarters.
Can I read to you, Kim?
Floor of the FBI.
Could I just read to you the FBI statement on Durham, on the Durham report? It said that the conduct in 2016 and 17 that Special Counsel Durham examined was the reason that current FBI leadership already implemented dozens of corrective actions, which have now been in place for some time. Had those reforms been in place in 2016, the missteps identified in the report could have been prevented. Is that going to answer the mail on that?
No, absolutely not. And, you know, Durham himself seemed to predict this response. And he actually said in his report, look, I'm not recommending any wholesale changes here because the rules are already in place to make sure that this doesn't happen. The problem was, in fact, some people at the top that forgot their oath that they made to the FBI. And that's what's got to change. You know, and he was really directing that, even though he didn't use their names, at guys like Jim Comey and Andy McCabe, who are gone now, but who really led the Bureau in the wrong direction.
Kim Strassel, great to see you. Have a good weekend, and everybody should read her column today, wallstreetjournal.com.
Thank you. I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.